Okay, good evening everyone. Thank you very much for coming and welcome to Albertson Fury ECNL night and a town hall meeting. So welcome to the boys ECNL, and some of you that are already part of it, thank you for coming, and we're going to have a nice Q&A session at the end. So let's just jump right into it. A couple of introductions. We have our boys ECNL director, Flavio Ferri. Flavio, wave. And we have Danny Leone, coach, obviously, ECNL. And Marcelo. And our boys ECNL administrator, Robin. And my name is, if you don't know, John Wilson. I'm vice president for Albertson Soccer Club for Premier Travel. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk about the boys ECNL. So, you know, what is, in the boys market, a lot of people don't understand what the boys ECNL is, and some of the people that are currently playing in it don't really understand the full value proposition that is involved and why we're dedicating a lot of sweat equity to it. And this is our second year. It's the second year for the boys. So it's a top national league. Obviously, development training, the competition, the innovation, and the player-centered programming. That is really part of some of their core values, and they really are able to differentiate themselves from other leagues. And we're going to talk about why and how, and we'll go through that. So innovation, respect for diversity, opportunity, development, excellence, obviously, and where they strive in their excellence is the college recruiting platform and how they go about that. It's unsurpassed by any league in the country, we feel. And they have a proven track record. And we're going to take a look at that tonight. So the league structure, it's important. I don't think everyone quite understands that ECNL is a national league. They have a national presence. Trifold that you have, they're in the middle cover that we passed out. And this is where ECNL does a great job. They have a proven system, a proven track record. And we'll talk about why and how they do that. But you have Oklahoma, ECNL Florida, ECNL San Diego, and ECNL Pennsylvania. So those are all areas where the recruiting starts, the player identification starts, all the college coaches come to the games. So raising the bar, that's ECNL again does a great job at promoting the clubs, their philosophy, what they're trying to do, their innovation. And it is truly a collaborative effort by them when they engage in the different clubs and the coaches on what's working, what's not working. And they are really focused on creating that holistic development and a pathway for the player. They're all about a pathway for the player. They want to maximize their ability, and they really want them prepared for college soccer. So ECNL is a league for college-bound players. And everything is structured around the identification of the players, the promotion of the players, and then finally the recruiting of the players. So welcome to the ECNL boys. If you're in it, great. If you're not, we'd love to have you on board. I want to hear from Mr. Flavio Ferri. So let me introduce you, if you don't know him already, Mr. Flavio Ferri.
Welcome everyone. Thank you again for coming out tonight, spending a few minutes with us. Just a little bit about myself to start. I was born in Brazil originally, moved to the US when I was about 8 years old, so most of my youth development as a player was in this country, so I'm quite familiar with the whole landscape and how everything works. Fortunate enough to have played on the US Olympic team, in the MLS, and professionally in 3 different countries. So been involved in the game my whole life, and again, fortunate to have done it at a relatively high level. Off the field, when my knees gave out, I got into coaching and also managing. So I was the general manager for the Long Island Rough Riders for over a decade. And my role there was to not only coach, but to manage the senior team, the men's team, in which we had countless professional players and college players that came through the ranks. So I've gotten quite familiar with the process as it relates to college and just the overall level that it takes to be to play at the highest levels, both collegiately and professionally. Most recently, I recruited Danny Bedoya. This was 2 years ago. He was standout at St. John's. He left school, was playing in the Sunday League, and I brought him in to play, and he's currently with NYCFC's first team. So that's in his credit because he worked to get to that point. But again, I'm quite familiar with the overall landscape and also what it takes to play in terms of the highest levels and helping players achieve that. So again, why ECNL? We went, let me flip it. I'm going the other way. I don't think we need to review yet. We're not there yet. There we go. Okay, so top clubs, as John mentioned, we're in the Northeast Division. We're quite fortunate that in our division, in our conference, some of the top clubs in the country are here, and it's kind of a who's who. I don't need to read them all off. You can see from Stars to Penn Fusion, Match Fit, PDA. So the level of competition on the field is as good as you're going to get. And despite Northeast traffic, we're sort of fortunate that we're all relatively close together. So we have the benefit of playing against some of the top clubs in the area. In terms of showcases, John touched on that. These are the national showcases run by the ECNL. And there's a couple aspects to it that really stand out. So one of them is the level of competition, which ties into what I just mentioned. But what they do, as John mentioned, in terms of having real soccer guys and ladies running these types of events, they match like clubs and like teams so that the parity is what it is. The other aspect of it that stood out when I attended is just the organization of these showcases in terms of being on time, the level of the facilities, organization was top notch, but obviously most importantly is the exposure to college coaches, which really is second to none. That old statement, picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, here's a picture of an ECNL event down in Florida, players, coaches only, and basically these are all college coaches lined up to watch the game. So we participated, or I was there physically at the Pennsylvania event this past spring, and every step you took, you ran into a college coach. So it really is a very, very good platform as it relates to that. So the landscape, the overall landscape. So we're the only soccer playing country in the world that does not have a vertically integrated system, and that goes from professional all the way down. So our professional league here, the MLS, there's no promotion relegation. Every other country in the world has that, and there's a vertical system that runs all the way through the youth. Here, it's very much a horizontal sort of system where you have several different leagues, alphabet soup, ABC, EDP, and all of that. And for somebody that does it for a living like myself, it can be confusing for me. So I can't even imagine for moms and dads trying to figure it out. The Boys Development Academy, that's been around since 2007, run by the Federation, is the top level league in the country, and has been for quite a while. But in sort of comparing the pros and cons, the one thing that stands out is if you play in the DA, you cannot play in high school. So that's their rule. The other thing is they're a bit more restrictive in terms of outside events that you can participate in. ECNL is quite high school friendly. In fact, for our older boys, we're just getting going now because we gave them a break during high school season so they can fully take advantage of that. And we understand the importance of that, not just from a soccer standpoint, but the whole social aspect of it, and all that entails as well. So getting back into the ECNL, John mentioned a national footprint. It's a true national league. And what stands out to me, in addition to the quality on the field, is the quality off the field. So they do a great job in terms of their marketing pieces, in terms of the imagery that they put out, both through social media, websites, and everything that's done is done on a national scale, which is important. Again, real quality type stuff. If you look at, which we'll get into shortly, the conference preview, and this isn't just a marketing piece. We had to fill out as the directors of each club. We had a hand in who gets selected and what gets written up. in addition to speaking to each other about players that we've seen on the field. So it's true to what it says in terms of providing quality. So this is an example of that. I think some were passed around. There's some on the table. Feel free to grab one on your way out. It's quite a good piece. Again, goes into club, players, etc. So ultimately, this is all to help provide exposure to clubs and players as well. So going through the college process and trying to build a resume, so to speak, as a player, which we all need to do as players academically and in the sport itself. This is quite impressive. So getting into, now that we've learned a decent amount about the ECNL, I guess we get into why Albertson, right, John? So getting back to staff, and Danny and Marcelo were introduced earlier, so and that's not a typo. They actually have very similar qualifications. One is much better looking than the other. I'll leave that up to you to vote on later. But Danny and I go way back because we played together many years ago. Marcelo played professionally as well. So combined, believe it or not, the three of us have over 60 years of coaching experience, which does show our age just a bit. And more importantly than the number of years is the same general philosophy towards player development. So what we like to focus in on is obviously building a team, but always focusing on the individual and helping to develop the individual. And within the scope of that is always pushing players to higher levels, and we believe that wholeheartedly. We work very well together. We're in constant communications. We coach each other's teams. We're there together at certain games. So very, very privileged to work with these guys, and I think they provide a wealth of knowledge, experience, and motivation as well in terms of being good role models and really connecting with the kids, which is very, very important. So now that was very nice to you guys, you owe me dinner after this, okay? Okay, mission in terms of the club, that is on the trifold that you can pick up, so I won't regurgitate the whole thing, but ultimately, if you boil it down to one sentence, it's providing the best possible environment for players to develop. So ultimately, that is our primary number one responsibility and what we're really looking to do.